This is part 4 in the Illuminati lecture series. So we can talk. We finished with the X-Files on the last lecture, and now we're going to talk about the biggest secret. And the 1990s ends with the publication of David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret. Icke is a former British soccer player or footballer and BBC commentator, but no one knows anything about that or cares about it. What he's most famous for is his conspiracy theory writing. Icke's biggest contribution to the whole Illuminati conspiracy theory is that the various political leaders are really shape-shifting lizard aliens from the constellation Draco. No, not this one. The one that exists in the fourth dimension. And no, not time, the other fourth dimension. The one that doesn't really exist in our reality. Or, any reality. His conspiracy theory, and this is how we're going to get from this to the Illuminati. His conspiracy theory is that these aliens came to the Earth during the Babylonian Empire's rule, because sure, why not? They came here in search of two things, one of which it was our monoatomic gold. I have tried to figure out what that means, and nope, can't figure that out. And to feed off of our despair and sorrow, which they grow by creating all the world's problems. These reptiles interbred with humans and produced what are known as the Anunnaki. All right, here we go. So the Anunnaki are real, quote, real, unquote, in that they are the gods mentioned in the oldest human text, the Epic of Gilgamesh. In this work, the Anunnaki are the ones which covered the earth with the Great Flood. From like the Bible, Noah's flood. Although the Epic of Gilgamesh predates the Bible, predates the writing, so it's clear that the Bible has used the flood as for its story. But the Epic of Gilgamesh, according to the people that study this kind of thing, was actually inspired by an older account itself. Either way, the Anunnaki are the ones that flooded the earth. Icke has them as the offspring of reptiles and humans. Biblically, so again, we're going back to the Bible here, this would make them what is known as the Nephilim. And they're the offspring of angels and humans, which Icke sometimes uses as a synonym because it doesn't really matter to him. Icke combines the worst forms of right-wing Christian persecution along with the worst forms of left-wing alternative medical beliefs to create an eschatology that the Anunnaki control the Illuminati and are seeking a one-world government. Also, none of this is real because, according to Icke, it's also very possible, probable even, according to him, that we are living in a computer simulation run by those he calls the prison warders. As crazy as all this sounds, this man has a following. He has been banned by YouTube and Facebook, but is still on Twitter. Nope, not anymore. He was banned from Twitter about 3 days ago. So on Monday, the 2nd of November. Right, he was just banned by Twitter. He sells out arenas, smaller ones, but still he sells out if he comes to the Buffalo area. Like he's not going to sell out HSBC or KeyBank Arena, whatever we're calling where the Sabres play. But he'll sell at the Blue Cross Arena up in Rochester where the Amerks play. Like he'll sell at a small place with a couple thousand seats. Even if it is a small one, still that's thousands of people that are paying to listen to him talk about his weird global Illuminati conspiracy theory. Now, when he gives these talks, which you can find, some people have reposted them on YouTube, mostly to be snarky about it. He focuses specifically on the Illuminati, and specifically on like their satanic plan to take over the world. The reptile thing, the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, that is only in the books. And that represents sort of the hook of conspiracy theories. What they'll do is they'll start with something that maybe you already believe. I believe there's a group of elites controlling the world. And then you spend money on the books, and then you find out it's reptile aliens, and instead of throwing that away, you'll be like, well, this book cost me $50. I mean, sunken cost, right? And this is how he gets from the implausible to the impossible. right? His lizard alien, shape-shifting, dimension-traveling lizard aliens would require a whole new group of natural laws to be true. But he's like I said, he's got a huge following. Now, if Wilson and Shea brought it to the people with the Illuminatus trilogy, and Ike made it popular, and Ike popularized it, Lyndon LaRouche made it a political movement. LaRouche is basically a cult leader that has no spiritual aspect to his movement. Or I'm sorry, had. He died a few years ago. He's like a couple, like 2 or 3. He started as a Marxist politically, but he had hard right views socially, meaning that he was big on economic equality, income distribution, stopping the wealth gap and stuff, but thought that homosexuals with AIDS should be sent to an island to stop the spread. Right? This is sort of usually that kind of political view. If it exists, is usually the opposite. Usually, you have hard right economic views with libertarian social views, like no taxes, everybody gets to do whatever they want. That's that kind of thing. He was a proponent of nuclear energy and extremely critical of finance economics. This is what we call a broken clock, right? Because these two things are generally accepted by experts as being, reasonable positions. Nuclear energy is pretty safe, it's clean. Finance economics, I don't really understand, so I won't opine on it. But most experts look at these two views and are like, okay, I mean, we disagree with some of his details, but generally speaking, these are defensible positions. For our purposes, though, he was huge into several ideas. First, that the British government is responsible for nearly all of the illegal drug trade in the world. Also, Ike believes Queen Elizabeth is, the head lizard alien shapeshifter person. He placed all of the world's problems at the hands of a group known as the Trilateral Commission, right? Which the Trilateral Commission is a real group. It was founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller. That name pops up in all of these conspiracy theories, the Rockefeller name. It brought together economic and political leaders from the United States, Western Europe, and Japan. That's where we get the tri from. Right? This is during the Cold War. These are three of the non-Soviet. They're not aligned with the Soviet bloc, so that's what this is all about. And they wanted to foster cooperation between the regions. You can go to their website. Membership is invite only. They have been accused of trying to form a one-world government by people such as GOP Senator Barry Goldwater when he was running for president. Goldwater, if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because of the Goldwater rule, which prevents psychiatrists and psychologists from trying to diagnose presidential candidates that aren't their patients. The John Birch Society, which is so far to the right, even the old Tea Party was like, you guys are a little much. Alex Jones of conspiracy theory fame, and Luke Rudkowski, who was one of the original 9/11 truthers, all blame the commission for orchestrating 9/11. Noam Chomsky from the left believes that they are trying to induce passivity and non-participation in government, which, I guess they're winning. Membership in this group is invite only, as I said, and during the 1976 presidential election, all three major candidates, Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, before he lost in the primary Ronald Reagan, and independent candidate John Anderson were all members of the Trilateral Commission, and conspiracy theorists pointed to that as proof. See, they run the world. You can't even run for president unless you're a member of the Trilateral Commission. Of course, they're not the Illuminati, but the difference is only in the name. LaRouche made the 1980 election about fighting a mysterious, quote, them, unquote, that controlled everything and was steering us into a new dark age. He's overtly anti-Semitic in places outside the United States. In his words, he's anti-Zionist, which is totally different, but it's not. Just when he leaves the U.S., he's just much more obvious about what he means by anti-Zionist. He claimed that the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, was a genocide plot. And he claimed that Bush and Scalia stole the 2000 election, which isn't really true. LaRouche predates Ike, but his injection of the super conspiracy into the public sphere under the guise of a populist movement overlaps strongly with Ike's belief. I don't know if these two ever met or if they were fans of each other. But all LaRouche is doing is scraping off the really crazy parts of Ike's theory and just saying, like, say, political movements. And, or I'm sorry, I should say that in reverse, right? Ike's taking LaRouche's movement and just adding a little more to it. LaRouche has little impact politically today. But this idea that politicians, the government, are under the sway of hidden puppeteers still persists. Look on the news right now and you will find this. People talk about the deep state controlling the election. LaRouche just made this into a political movement. Um, his endorsement, because he was a quasi-legitimate political force, influenced others, and it made it seem like maybe this stuff isn't as crazy as everyone else said it was. I mean, here's this rich guy. He gets speaking fees. He can travel the world. He's got tons of followers. That can't be all the way insane, right? Okay, so we're going to stop here and we'll talk about proofs of the conspiracy when we return for the final lecture. Thank you very much for listening.